Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the AnyGames.ie podcast. You're joined by me, Gav, and my co-host Dave. Dave, it's been a week since we did the very first episode. How are you feeling since then?
Yeah, good. It's been a good week. Got a lot of positive feedback off people. Really enjoyed the process of actually getting it done and getting it out. Like everything last week was all a learning curve. It still is.
Funny you should say it's all a learning curve. We're after spending probably about 40 minutes trying to get the laptops and mics sorted because unfortunately it wasn't as plug and play as it was last week for whatever reasons.
Seemed to work last week, not so much this week, but
Yeah.
here we are now.
A little bit messing around, but we got there hopefully. I feel like I enjoyed the process probably more than we expected, but the most positive thing to take from it so far is the interaction that we were looking for has already begun, which is
great.
Which is great to see. But no, I have to say overall enjoyed the process. I'd say one of the points I probably took from it, which I would hope got across, is that we're not just a Premier League podcast. Although the original episode was taken up mainly by us talking about what's going on in the Premier League at the moment, I hope it came across that our actual main focus with this podcast is to give a voice to and be a platform for amateur football in Ireland, whether it be 5-a-side and 7-a-side, you know, in your local Astro Park, if it's grassroots football, if it's academies, if it's Sunday League. It's very easy to sit and talk about very high profile, very well paid footballers, and it's entertaining, and we're going to continue to talk about that, of course we are.
But of course none of that happens without the grassroots level of football.
No.
Which is what we really want to engage with this.
Yeah, those players don't get to that point without going through that process of amateur football to begin with. And the fascinating thing with amateur football is that almost everybody involved does it for the love of the game, does it for the love of the community. And, you know, speaking from my own personal experience, the amount of characters and great people that you come across and coming through the ranks in amateur football.
That happens at any club you've ever been at. There's always characters who've been around the club forever. Yeah. And you'll be there, and there'll be people who you could have just rocked up to a club for a week or two, and there's always going to be someone who tells you, see Paul over there, he's been at this club years, he's put his heart and soul into it. And you don't get it at the time, but if you start to stay around the club for a while, you start to get it, what it means to some of the people at the club. Yeah,
a lot of times they're the unsung heroes, you know, the guys that open up the facilities first thing in the morning, the lads that mark out the pitches. You know, it's not just the chairman, it's not just academy directors, it's not just the coaches. Especially this day and age, there's a lot more demands put on amateur football teams, I think. Speaking from my own experience, there's a lot more involvement with parents and family members, and you've got a lot more people on the sideline. So there's a lot more to take on, I think, for anybody involved. It's not just a case of showing up 2 nights a week and putting on a training session and then heading out to a match. There's a lot involved for those that volunteer and that give their time. So
I suppose with all of that being said, part of what we want to do here then is get involved with clubs and get out there and get stories from people.
Yeah, and we have plans lined up for the future with interviews and discussions and getting people onto the podcast, the likes of chairman of clubs, your academy directors and your unsung heroes. You know, we want you guys to interact with us, we want you to feel part of this community, we want to hear your stories, we want to hear from people within your club about what goes on. We want to hear about your 7-a-side on a Tuesday night in Santry. We want to hear all your stories.
Yeah.
And
if someone wants to nominate someone from that club to come and talk about the club from where it started, because we all see these clubs that are around our towns and whatever around the country, but do we really know where they started, where they came from, who set them up?
And every club has a great story, and every club has a great character, and we want to go to these clubs, we want to get to know the people in these clubs, we want to give these clubs a platform to tell their story. We're going to rely on the community to get involved here. A lot of the listeners were looking for you to interact with us across all our socials, and
to be fair, we've had a bit of interaction,
and we have
the first episode.
We have. I suppose that moves us nicely onto what's been going on the website this week, Dave, if you want to give us an update there.
Yeah, I suppose the first thing I'll say, a couple of posts on the site this week that we're going to shout them out every week on this when we see something go up on there. First what I want to mention is there's a post from a user there in Waterford looking to get involved with a 5-a-side, 7-a-side game. So if anybody's listening, head over there to AnyGames.ie and let them know you can hook them up in a game. And then the other thing then comes from our club section, which kind of ties back into what we've just been talking about. A post from Leicester Celtic over in Rathfarnham. They're holding a golf tournament over in Rathfarnham Golf Club on the 19th of September, and that is to raise funds for their clubhouse and Astro pitches. So it's a good cause as well. Get involved and help out a local club.
Yeah, so if you are a local business in the Rathfarnham area or the Greater Dublin area and you would like to get involved and you'd like to help out one of your local clubs in Leicester Celtic, they've got sponsorship available there for tee-offs, for greens, and you can also get involved in the golf itself. The full details of all of that is on AnyGames.ie. We'll put a link below in the comment section. We've actually already previously shared it across all of our platforms as well. So whether you're on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram or wherever you get your content for AnyGames.ie, we've shared it over there. So it'd be great if everybody could get involved and give a dig out to Leicester Celtic. So
yep, and on the post over on the website, actually the contact details are over on there as well. So if you want to head over to AnyGames.ie and check it out there as well. Yeah,
and from myself and Dave, best of luck to Leicester Celtic. So moving on then to footballing matters, Dave.
Yeah. Now, the elephant in the room of the week.
Yeah. The Republic of Ireland national team.
Fantastic.
Oh, it's probably not the word I would use, Dave. Fantastic is not the word I would use.
Well, I think what's fantastic is within 3 days we've lost all hope of qualifying for the World Cup.
I don't think we've ever lost hope that quick, have we?
No, not that I can remember.
I was watching the Hungary game and I was watching the build up to it and the interviews with Collins and Hallgrimsson, and everybody was talking how positive the camp has been and that they really feel like something special was brewing, that they had this optimism that hadn't been there for a while. And I mean, for somebody looking at some of the players, like we've seen the likes of Caoimhin Kelleher and Nathan Collins at Brentford starting the season relatively well. We've
Good
seen
players.
Yeah, we've seen Evan Ferguson moving over to Roma. All the reports have been great. I haven't seen much of him now. I did see him in pre-season, but I haven't seen much since
The reports have been good though, and saying he's settled in well over there.
Josh Cullen started really well with Burnley this season. I have to say, the minute the first ball was kicked, the minute the first whistle went, I knew it wasn't going to be the performance that was maybe promised in the lead up to it.
Yeah.
What I found was they were obviously instructed by Hallgrimsson to stand off, to allow Hungary to play in front of them. There was no press from Ferguson and Azaz up front. They seemed happy to sit back and maybe catch them on the counter-attack. Now, I have no problem with that. If that's your tactic, fine. If you think that's the best setup for your team, that's fine. But if you're going to play that system, when the counter-attack comes, you need to be able to move the ball quickly up the pitch, be very efficient with the ball, make sure the pass is right, make sure you make the right runs. So you're thinking, right, Josh Cullen's already got a couple of assists this season. Evan Ferguson is looking sharp, and he's the man that you put through ball to. But their out ball was out to the right to Jake O'Brien, which is fine. More often than not, he was able to control it, he was able to take it down, but then there was no support. You lose the element of a counter-attack then, because the ball's been slowed down, and then you look to take possession then, and then you're recycling the ball and you're passing it across the back. And we had Matt Doherty playing left side of the back three. All he was doing was controlling it and putting it back to Nate Collins, because he couldn't do anything with his left foot.
I was watching the second half, and from what I saw in the second half, we pressed Hungary back well, and there was a bit more positivity around the play. Now,
I don't think that came along though until they had someone sent off.
Yeah, and we were chasing the game, and at that point, I think Hungary were quite happy to sit back and soak that up.
Yeah,
and I think they were confident in the fact that we weren't going to break them down.
Yeah, like I don't want to overanalyze the game.
Yeah,
because even when we were a man to the good, we didn't try any variation in our attacks. Everything was long balls, and for the most part, they were able to clear it fairly handy.
Yeah, and then that carried over into the Armenia game.
I think just the less said about the Armenia game, the better. I think there
was just a general lack of creativity.
Nothing positive to take from that game whatsoever.
No, and I don't think we can sit here and talk too much about it. It was just such a poor performance. It's actually one of the worst I've seen an Ireland team play. Yeah,
I think a lot of it is down to the Ireland manager. I think he's going to have to take some accountability, which he seems to have done. But I mean, I think the damage is already done now. We have to go away to Hungary, play Portugal twice. We have to host Armenia. I mean, I can't imagine too many people are going to be rushing to the Aviva to see.
No, I don't think so.
To see them playing again. So it's looking like this campaign is over before it's even started. It's good to get our listeners opinions on stuff like this, and we've actually had a comment. So Dave, I'll get you to read out that comment.
Yep. So this came on Spotify. One of our users, Ross, he's asking, after Ireland's performance, do you think it's time for a team made up of the best 11 from the League of Ireland to have a go and give them a chance?
It's definitely a fair question.
Yeah. I think for me, yes. I think some League of Ireland players should definitely get a chance. I think their heart would be completely in it. That being said, I don't think he'd make up the full 11. You can't look past players like Evan Ferguson, Caoimhin Kelleher.
No, how you would go about that would be tough because, like you said, you've got Premier League proven players
who have proven they are quality players.
But is there an argument to be made that the likes of Shamrock Rovers, who are currently top of the league, or Shelbourne, who were top of the league last season, these lads play alongside each other every week, and that regardless of individual talents, they're likely to be a better team. They're not just put together over the course of a 3-day camp and then expected to go out and perform well with last minute instructions.
Yeah, there's definitely merit in that. And then you need to make the point, would a League of Ireland manager slot in well there as well?
I'm under the impression that most League of Ireland managers don't want much to do with the FAI, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I think there's a huge disconnect between the FAI and the League of Ireland, and there has been for a very, very long time. And if you look at the League of Ireland at the moment, over the last couple of years, it's had a massive resurgence. You only have to look at the likes of Shamrock Rovers and Shelbourne playing in Europe now this season.
Or look to attendances at the games.
Look to attendances. It speaks volumes. I mean, more and more Bowls and Shells jerseys going around the north side. Shamrock Rovers jersey. Like, the support is amazing, and it's so hard to get a ticket now for a game as well. It's great to see. But going back to the original point, although I think it's a very valid argument, you know, whether or not we should be promoting the League of Ireland into the national team setup. I think some repair has to be done in that relationship before that could ever happen.
Yeah.
And realistically, I mean, we're not spoiled for choice with managers out there that would like to take the Republic of Ireland job. They're probably looking at it thinking, I can't do much with that group of players, or, you know, I'm expected to qualify, but the chances that happening are probably slim. You could really go down a rabbit hole on this debate, you really could, but I think there's such a disconnect between the League of Ireland and the FAI that it's unlikely to happen until that's repaired.
And it doesn't look like that relationship's going to be repaired anytime soon.
No, it really doesn't. I think the League of Ireland is just going to continue to get stronger and stronger, and it's not going to be from off the back of any sort of assistance from the FAI.
No.
And I think the FAI are probably going to come back with maybe their tail between their legs a little bit, because what have they got if the international team's not doing well?
They've only got the League of Ireland.
They've only got the League of Ireland, and that's thriving without them. So.
And to be honest with you, the average fan in Ireland doesn't really have much time for the FAI either.
No. I mean, if you look at all the scandal with Delaney and everything else over the last couple of years and how money's been spent, you know, they need to be doing a lot more for grassroots football. And
that would go a long way to repairing public trust in the FAI and League of Ireland trust in the FAI.
And I'd love to. This is kind of ties in with what we were speaking about earlier, with regards to getting out there and getting involved with clubs. I mean, speaking to chairmen and speaking to volunteers and people associated with clubs at amateur level, schoolboy stuff. You look at the likes of Leicester Celtic, we just spoke about there, having to go and raise money off their own back and run these events to get facilities, which really should be grants from the FAI. There should be assistance there from the governing body to help out clubs like that, you know. And I know they do a little bit here and there, of course they do.
Many times you've been gone to the shop and seen schoolboys, schoolgirls packing shopping for people, just to raise a few quid for that club.
There's so much of that has to go on, and I'd love to get in with clubs and, as I said, speak to the people behind these clubs and get their take on it in terms of what more the FAI could be doing. I'd also like to speak to somebody in the FAI. You know, there's two sides to every story. I'd love to know what the FAI are doing to help clubs out and what their plan is and what they see when they look at the League of Ireland. And I think that kind of ties into what we're doing here as well, is getting in and getting to talk to the people behind those decisions I mean, we're probably a long way from that. We're only at the start of our journey here with this podcast, but it would be.
But you can dream.
But we can dream and hope that we get there, and at least get our foot in the door, and maybe have those conversations that we feel the listeners and the lovers of amateur football in Ireland and football in general might want to hear. And yeah, that's kind of I suppose that's our vision, and hopefully we get there at some point. As I said before, it can only happen if we have the community that we're looking to build, and we have that interaction with the listeners. So please do get involved.
Drop your comments and anything like that, or any questions you might have, onto any of the social platforms like that. We're there on Spotify, we have X, Facebook, all the usual platforms.
Just before we move away from Ireland, after the Hungary game, I was watching Northern Ireland against Germany. I was looking at how spirited a performance Northern Ireland had put in. They were playing away in Germany, and they got it into their faces from the first whistle. It made it difficult. Now, they went on to lose that game 3-1, but it was probably down to fatigue by the end of it, because they'd spent 60, 70 minutes winning every second ball, chasing down every lost cause. And I think I texted you and I said, are you watching this game? Do you think we could get a United Ireland just for football purposes? So if there's any listeners out there and you have a hot take on what a United Ireland might look like, or a combined Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland 11, what that might look like, it might make for an interesting conversation, maybe for next week's episode. I don't want to go into the whole political aspect of it, but we'll see. Anybody who has an opinion on that, get involved, and maybe we'll bring it up again next week and discuss it in more detail.
I think that's a good place to move on.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the Premier League.
Yeah.
We've got game week 4 coming up, and there's some tasty fixtures.
There is.
So the early kickoff on Saturday, the 12:30 kickoff, is your team, Dave, and you are at home to Nottingham Forest, who've had an interesting week.
Very interesting week. Proved me right from episode 1. Nuno, Forest gone.
You got it, Dave. You got it. You were correct.
I don't think you needed to be a psychic to see that one coming.
No, I did ask you, would he be gone before the end of international break?
Yeah, I did.
You said probably not.
I said probably not. He might get one game, but he didn't. And now we've got Big Ange.
Big Ange.
It's an interesting one, actually, because I want to see how Forest will come out in that game, because you look at Nuno, you look at Big Ange, and you have really contrasting styles of football there. Ange is only in there a couple of days. What way are they going to come out? Are they going to come out playing Ange ball?
I'll ask you a question, Dave. Before the managerial change, how would you have felt going into that game?
I think still fairly confident, even if it was, say, the Forest of last season. It's at the Emirates. I think, although Forest have been pretty good against top 6 teams, I still think Arsenal at the Emirates would have enough. We have our own problems going into that game, though. We've Saliba out for the next 3-4 weeks, but I actually think that's a great opportunity for the young lad Masquera. I suppose the best thing I can say about him, came on against Liverpool and we didn't miss Saliba. I think that's a great compliment for that young player. Although Saliba's out and he's going to miss some big games for us, I am looking forward to seeing Masquera step in there, because I think he's actually got a lot of talent.
Yeah, he did really well. Fair play to him. He's young as well, is he? What age?
He's 21.
He's only 21.
Yeah.
So he's done really well there. I wonder, just with the managerial change then, do you have any fear of the effect a manager usually has? Effect. You know, when the first game as new manager, you usually get a bit of a reaction out of players. Do you think?
No, I probably would if he had a full week to work with his team, you know, but he hasn't really. So I think we will catch them at quite a good time. They're only just bedding into a new system, and we all know Ange is a bit unwavering in the way he likes to set his team up. So I'd imagine he will have gone in there and be like, right lads, we're going for it.
It's an impressive Australian accent there.
Thanks.
Have you got a score prediction for that one?
3-1 Arsenal.
3-1 Arsenal. Do you want to hazard a guess at goal scorers? Who do you think is definitely on the score sheet? Do you think Gyökeres gets a goal there?
I'll give him one. And I think Madueke.
Yeah.
Give him a goal.
He has started well for you. I've been impressed with him.
And sure, we're going to get a corner, aren't we? So we'll go Gabriel.
On to the 3 o'clock games for Saturday then. You've got a couple of interesting fixtures. You've got Bournemouth versus Brighton. That's at the Vitality Stadium. Any predictions on that one?
Haven't really looked at it in any great depth. I'd say Brighton will be up after
beating Man City
in the last game. I'll probably give them.
But then Bournemouth beat Tottenham.
They did.
And Tottenham beat City.
So
ipso facto,
yeah.
Bournemouth beats Brighton.
Okay, we'll go. Do you know what? 2-2.
2-2.
Yeah. How about yourself?
Yeah.
See that in there?
Yeah, I think you could be right. I think it could be a Desmond, as they call it. A Desmond 2-2. It's one of those games. I think even based on form, even based on quality, it's a very difficult one to call. I'd probably lean towards Bournemouth just because, if nothing else, they're at home.
Yeah.
They're at the Vitality, so I'm going to give that one to Bournemouth. But I think 2-2 would be a great shout as well. Another one there then is Palace against newly promoted Sunderland, who've started well since they've come up. What's your predictions on that one?
I'll probably go with a Palace win just because they're at home. But Sunderland have been decent.
Yeah, again, another tough one to call. I think with this week's fixtures, you've got a lot of similarities with teams and their circumstances and their form. So I think for a lot of these, you're nearly expecting a lot of draws or a lot of tight games.
Everton Villa stands out to me a little bit.
Everton Villa, you're right there. We spoke last week about Villa haven't got a goal yet.
No,
they haven't looked right at all.
They're away to Everton,
yeah.
And it just seems like a good opportunity for them to pull themselves back from their poor start. But that being said, Everton are looking pretty good and they're at home
in the new stadium,
yeah,
the Hill Dickinson Stadium.
And Jack Grealish has been great.
He has, and Ndoi has been great as well. They've also got Dewsbury Hall, some great players. All have started really well. So I'd say of the 3 o'clock kickoffs,
that's the one I would tune into.
That's the one to watch for me as well. Yeah. Have you got a score prediction for Everton Villa?
2-1 Everton.
Do you know what? I'm gonna double down on that. Yeah, I'm gonna say 2-1 Everton as well. Fulham and Leeds then.
This is an interesting one as well because when I looked at Fulham against United,
yeah,
they looked good. But then I looked at the game against Chelsea. They didn't really offer a whole lot in that game. Now, I think as they were robbed a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's an opportunity for them at home to get back, kind of to winning ways.
Yeah.
But Leeds, I like Leeds. I think I'll watch a few Leeds games this season because I just like the way they play football.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's a fair point. They're one of those clubs you want in the Premier League, I think.
Although I have tipped them to go down, and for the reasons I like them, I think that's why they're going to go down.
Probably, yeah. That's a good show. I think you were saying there Fulham looked good against United, but I genuinely think that was just United looking poor.
Yeah.
And making Fulham look better than they were, maybe.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I would say, I'm going to say that's a draw as well. I think neither of them have really got going. Like you said, Fulham against Chelsea was poor as well. And
I think if you look at that game, whoever wins it, it's a good 3 points for them.
Yeah.
You know, kind of gets them back on track a little bit.
Yeah.
Newcastle and Wolves. Newcastle are going to win that.
I don't see any other result other than the Newcastle win there. I spoke in length last week about Newcastle and their midfield trio, and we both had Wolves to go down, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, and that's not going to change after this week.
That's not going to change. So
their new striker as well, Newcastle.
He's injured.
Oh, is he? Oh, I didn't know that.
I've seen something there today that he got injured while playing for the Congo. Moving on then to the 5:30 kickoff on Saturday. We've got West Ham at home to Spurs in a London derby. The first of 2 London derbies.
Yeah. Looking at that game, I kind of want to just talk about Spurs a little bit because they've had a bit of a week as well with Daniel leaving.
You have been thinking about that all week.
I was very disappointed I didn't see any tabloid post it. So
too easy, Dave. That's why it's terrible.
I felt it was my prerogative. Anyway,
take a time out.
Daniel Levy leaving Spurs.
Interesting timing.
Yeah.
I wondered if it had anything to do with the Gary Neville interview. I didn't see it in full, so I don't think there was anything there that he said or I'm wondering if he did the interview with Gary Neville knowing in advance that this was coming.
Yeah.
And he wanted to kind of put his image out there or put a message across, whatever.
Maybe. He's looking for a new
job.
job.
Because it's just interesting. I mean, it was literally a week or two ago that. And Daniel Levy's not somebody who's often in the media or...
No, not really.
Doesn't give an awful lot to media and journalism and anything like that. He doesn't really have his 2 cents on anything. He just goes about his business, and he has done for 25 years. And
it's an interesting one because he's quite a divisive kind of figure, in that some people can look at him in two ways. You can look at him as this person who oversaw a period of no success for Tottenham, depending on what way you want to look at success for that club. I mean, in terms of trophies, 2 trophies since 2008, something like that. But off the field, he has raised the profile of that club immensely. You know, he as a business model, Spurs have become one of the biggest clubs.
Top 6 richest clubs in Europe.
Yeah. And
yeah, I suppose it's how you measure success. And from a financial standpoint, they've gone from being worth somewhere in the region of 60-something million to 3.8 billion, I think, somewhere around that. They've got their stadium. They're financially stable. They've no issues with PSR, financial fair play, anything like that. So from a financial standpoint, you would definitely say they're successful. And as a United fan, I would swap that financial foundation for anything that we have, because we're just a club full of debt at the moment.
Yeah.
So it is nice to have, but I would say football fans care more about silverware, and they care more about accolades, and they care more about making finals and going to finals, and that's why they love football.
Yeah.
They don't get into football for Excel spreadsheets and bottom lines. And
this is true, but I think if Daniel Levy doesn't get Spurs to where they are as a brand now, Spurs fans would be just looking at another 20 years of being
mediocre.
Yeah, mediocre, to put it bluntly. And I don't mind saying that about Tottenham. They've been mediocre.
I think from a Spurs fans' point of view, any time I've heard any of the Spurs fans speaking about Daniel Levy, I think it's the moments that he didn't capitalise on great periods at Spurs. So, you know, when you had Gareth Bale, when you had Harry Kane and Heung-min Son at their peak, that he never really had the ambition from a footballing standpoint to kind of go, we're going to double down here. We're going to throw some money at this, and we're going to get in the best of the best. It's one of those things where you strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah.
And Spurs probably more than any, they've had moments. I mean, you look at the year Leicester City won the league, and Spurs were the only ones that pushed them close. I mean, the team under Pochettino was a very good team, but that was a kind of a moment lost. I mean, if you were looking at where Tottenham were maybe in that January window, could you have bought in a couple of more players and got you over the line to your first Premier League? And
I suppose in that time they nearly won a Champions League as well.
And that as well. I mean, they've been to Champions League finals, and I suppose from Daniel Levy's standpoint, it's not as if he's never put money into the club, and he's notoriously difficult to negotiate with. When
Alex Ferguson alluded to that.
When you're trying to, especially for English clubs trying to take a Tottenham player, you're going to have to pay extortionate amount of money. And he wasn't letting Harry Kane go to anywhere in England,
but
by the sounds of it.
From accounts as well, that was also a bad thing, in that he would nearly over-negotiate a purchase to the point of losing a player. In fact, the most recent probably being Eze, that was nearly there, and then it didn't happen, and all of a sudden he's at Arsenal. Yeah,
it's hard to know what goes on in these meetings. I mean, if you're Eze, and like he had a point to prove at Arsenal, and you know you've got so many people involved in these deals, from agents and lawyers and everybody. Like this, I'm sure there's both sides of the table have a big team behind them, getting these deals done. So I can't imagine they're too straightforward.
Interesting times though at Tottenham, and I think if we have any Tottenham fans listening, I'd love to get their take on it.
I mean, I think they're going in the right direction on the pitch.
Yeah.
So there is talk that maybe this is all to do with the owners selling up altogether, and that maybe because Daniel Levy had a 25% stake in the club, that he might be opposed to the sale.
Yeah.
And that might hinder them slightly. So I think they kind of pulled rank almost and got him out first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, he's going to walk away a very rich man if he wasn't already, you'd imagine. Look, it is what it is. It's interesting times. But
I suppose to go back to the game, the weekend, West Ham, Tottenham.
Yeah.
Any opinions?
I see Tottenham winning that. I think West Ham's 3-0 win last week, I think, was a bit of an anomaly.
Yeah, given the situation at Nottingham Forest.
At Nottingham Forest. And I've been impressed with Tottenham so far, so I'm going to go Tottenham 2-0 on that one.
West Ham are going to win.
Really?
No, they're not.
It's a hangover from Daniel Levy, is it?
I'm joking. No, Tottenham should win that game. What I will say is, it's a bit of a derby.
It is, yeah.
So, could be an upset with West Ham at home. I don't see it, though. I don't see it.
And then, onto the other London derby, which is the 8 o'clock kickoff. We've got Chelsea, and they are away, to Brentford. I can only see that going Chelsea's way.
Yeah. I think Brentford will make it a little bit difficult. They'll dig in.
Yeah.
But Chelsea will have the quality to come out on top of that one. Liam Delap injured?
Liam Delap is injured, yeah. Chelsea will still have enough.
Yeah, I think so.
Chelsea will still have enough, regardless of injuries. I mean,
you might see like a half an hour of Brentford making it tough. You could even see a half of that. But I think Chelsea will inevitably have too much quality. Yeah,
and I look at Brentford, and they lost on the opening day to Forest. Then they beat Villa, but as we said, Villa haven't even scored yet this season. And then they lost to Sunderland. I think that's a big one.
Yeah.
To lose to a newly promoted team, I think is a bit of a kick. I mean, if your aspirations are to be finishing mid-table, 3 games into the new season, you don't really want to be losing those games now. Brentford aren't the Brentford that we've known for the last couple of seasons. They're completely different. We spoke about it last week.
So they've lost, you'd say, their 2 best players and their manager.
Yeah, and the captain.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course, Norgard.
And all the backroom staff have gone with Thomas Frank. So, with the exception of Keith Andrews, who was part of that backroom staff, who's taken over. So
it's a shame for Brentford, actually. But
yeah, they've in the years that they've been in the Premier League since they've been promoted, they've well and truly earned the right to be in this league.
Yeah,
no question. But they just don't resemble what we've seen over the last season or two.
No.
We're both going Chelsea win on that one.
Chelsea win, comfortable enough. 3-0.
Yeah. We're moving on to Sunday's fixtures. Sunday we've got Burnley and Liverpool at the 2 o'clock kickoff in Turf Moor. I mean, Burnley coming after that United defeat, obviously suffered a heavy defeat game week 1 to Tottenham. They did beat Sunderland 2-0. Where you're looking at Liverpool. We discussed Liverpool in great detail last week.
Yeah, I think
9 points from 9.
It's going to be 12 from 12.
Yeah, I think so.
It is.
I think so.
Isaac make his debut start, or do you think he starts on the bench?
Well, we put this out to
our
listeners. We asked our listeners to get involved because neither of us are Liverpool fans.
We did ask the question, and we've got some feedback from Liverpool fans across different platforms.
Do you want to read it out, Dave?
So might do a few questions from Liverpool fans, or a few comments. Right, I'll go with the first one here from Larkin Fahy 12, and this is in the comments on Spotify. We had kind of said who loses their place for Isaac if he's to come straight in, and we kind of said Gakpo. He said we can't drop Salah, but we put it out to Liverpool fans to see what they think. And so Larkin says Salah starts at the moment. As games go on and his performances, if his performances do not improve, then Salah needs to be taken off in the second half. I think Salah will get his form back. He's been there before, and I actually kind of agree with this. You look at Salah, a few times you'll see him start slow in a season, but he always builds into it, and you always forget about that then. When you look back on his stats. Didn't he score first game? I think he
scored first game of the season. I think he's on 4 or 5 seasons in a row now to do that.
Okay.
something along those lines. But yeah, I get the point Larkin's making there.
I'll go. We have on other platforms here. We had a comment from Gary. He said, to answer a question about Liverpool, he says Salah has a permanent pass. He says he plays because he's magic. Goal in the first game and assist for the winner in Newcastle. He says he'll get better the more we sell. So there's a bit of a theme there in terms of Salah, and that he'll grow into the season. And he also says with Isak and Ekitike, they rotate. One gets 60 minutes, the other gets 30 minutes. A way of managing Isak injury worries. So plenty of games for both to rotate. And then we've Mock1, IE, also on Spotify. It says, as a Liverpool fan, it's unthinkable to drop Salah. They might rotate Ekitike and Isak. Football fans love loyalty and don't like seeing a star player push for a move to a rival. You look at Torres leaving for Chelsea. You look at Suarez trying to orchestrate a move to Arsenal. Maybe that's just a modern game. So Isak has a lot of work to do to prove himself. I'm more excited about Ekitike. And then he says, I hope you're wrong about Leeds because he
has an affiliation with Leeds.
Yeah.
I would say Salah, definitely he's earned the right. I said this last week. When you've been doing it for season upon season and being as great as he is and racking up the numbers that he has, he's well and truly earned the right to have a couple of mediocre games or start the season slow as he has done. My question was more around, I think one of the listeners said he has a free pass, but how long does that free pass get you?
Yeah, that's true.
He kind of has previous, as Liverpool fans have said, where he's started season slow and he builds up the form slowly and then suddenly he's back to winning ways and he's banging in goals and assists every week. And maybe that'll happen this time around and that's fine. But I think there's just a what if kind of in the back of my mind. I'm thinking he signed that new contract and has he just lost that bit of hunger? He's got 2 league titles now. Maybe you see a different Mo Salah in the Champions League. Maybe he's pushing for the Champions League win more so than he's not as interested in. Look, he's been a consummate professional, and I'm not saying that, but maybe sort of subconsciously his desire isn't in it. Yes, he absolutely deserves a bit of time and grace, but that can't last forever either. No. If Liverpool are going to push and go for the title back to back for the first time since the 80s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, yeah, it will be.
They are going to want their informed players out on the pitch at all times. And then my other point would be, one of the listeners was talking about rotating Isak and Ekitike and what that might look like. And that's all well and good on paper. But you've spent 200 million on 2 players. You can't have one of them sitting on the bench. I know the bulk of that is made up by Isak, but this whole thing of he costs us more money, he has to play. Because ultimately it's going to come down to slot. It's not going to come down to the price tag.
No.
It's going to come down to slot. So I'm going to be interested to see how he brings Isak in, whether he starts him straight away. I don't think he does. I think he's probably a good few weeks away from fitness because he hasn't been training.
Yeah.
By all accounts. So I don't see him starting. Certainly don't see him starting in this game. I don't even think he'll make the bench.
Do you not think? Oh no, he'll be on the bench.
Do you think so?
Yeah. He has to.
Yeah, he probably will be.
Optics alone.
Well, the only reason I say that is because that game is at Turf Moor, and I think maybe you bring him out at Anfield.
Yeah.
Unveil him at Anfield. I think it's less of an occasion if he's just sitting on the bench at Turf Moor.
True. Be interesting to see.
Yeah.
We'll I just think you can't. You make the point of spending that money on a player and not playing them or not starting them.
Yeah.
I think the same can be said for looking at the bench on Sunday. The 130 million not in your squad.
So moving on then to the final game of the weekend. Not the actual final because United aren't in finals. Moving on to the Manchester derby then, the final game of the weekend, and probably the most interesting, not just for me because I'm a Man United fan, but I think the optics around this one are very interesting. You've got both sides with, I suppose, I wouldn't call them issues, but
poor starts.
Yeah, both have started poorly. We spoke last week about the lack of talk around Man City I think people are only talking about them now because they still don't look like they've turned it around. That blip of last season doesn't look so much like a blip anymore. It seems to be maybe an ongoing issue. I've also seen that Marmouche is injured.
I saw that today as well, yeah.
Yeah, so Marmouche will be out. There's optics around the goalkeeper situation for both of them. So both of them have brought in new goalkeepers. United have actually sent Onana out on loan. So with Man City, they brought in Gigi Donnarumma, who is an unbelievable shot stopper, Champions League winner last season. And there wouldn't really be much issue with it, only for they've also brought in James Trafford. So it'll be interesting from Pep's point of view. Who do you start? Do you start Donnarumma? And what does that say then to James Trafford? Or are you playing James Trafford and then suddenly James Trafford feels like, if I make one mistake, Donnarumma's in? Yeah, it's the optics around it are interesting. If you move over then to United with the goalkeeper situation.
Can I just come in on the goalkeeper situation?
Yeah, go ahead.
When you've got two starting quality goalkeepers, as proven at Arsenal when they brought in David Raya,
when they already had Ramsdale, neither of those goalkeepers performed to the level at which each one was able to do, or each one was capable of. And I don't know whether that was because they constantly had the other one over their shoulder, knowing that they could be dropped at any moment because there's another top quality goalkeeper there. And I know you'll say competition for places is great, but I think just from having seen that situation at Arsenal a couple of seasons ago, it was a bit counterproductive. Competitions are great for players if you're Isak and you're Ekitike. It doesn't work with goalkeepers.
No.
It's never worked with goalkeepers. You'll find the most successful teams over the years haven't had two number ones. They've had an out and out number one and a number two who knows they're the number two.
Yeah.
They are quite content in being the second goalkeeper. You get kind of journeymen and people within this game that have spent years just being a number two goalkeeper, and they've got medals to prove it. They knew their position.
Yeah.
And they'd rather be a number two at a big club than be a number one at a small club.
Yeah,
and
because they can finish their career and look at...
Yeah, I mean, you look at Scott Carson at Man City. Barely played a game every season. And he's got multiple Premier Leagues.
He's got a bigger trophy cabinet than Tottenham.
Exactly. You just love getting a dig in at Tottenham, don't you?
Can't help it.
You're gonna immediately get rid of our Tottenham fan base now because they know you're an Arsenal fan. So
to Man United then.
So sorry to Man United with the goalkeeper situation. Up until now, they've had Onana and Bayindir in rotation. Ruben Amorim seems to favour Bayindir over Onana anyway. And then obviously Onana's now gone to Turkey. He's gone to Trabzonspor, and it's an interesting one because they brought in Sene Lamens, and he's only 23. He was playing at Royal Antwerp, and he hasn't been really able to get into... I don't think he's a single cap for Belgium. Now, he's gone up against the likes of Thibaut Courtois, so you're not going to get much of a look in there. But again, do you start him the weekend? Do you throw him in the deep end at a Manchester derby? Do you play Bayindir, who has looked shaky at times? My feeling is that he's going to start with Bayindir.
If it were me, and I'm not Ruben Amorim,
yeah,
I'd put the young goalkeeper in. He won't be held to account for what happens in that game, and it won't fall back on Amorim for picking him either. You know, it's his first game. He's a young goalkeeper, and there'll be a lot of United fans who won't want to see Bayindir in the goal anyway. You know. Yeah.
So for Amorim, it's a difficult one because part of him goes, I know what I'm getting with Bayindir. It's not perfect. It's not what I'm looking for long term. But if I play him, I know what's going to happen, and I can work around that. If on the other hand you go, I'm going to throw in this new fella, Sene Lemons, and the headlines write themselves. I mean,
yeah,
you know,
another goalkeeper, more problems.
Yeah. But I think if you play Bayindir and he doesn't make a mistake and he has a good game, it's going to be a similar situation with Trafford, where you have a good game, but you know what? As soon as you don't,
you're
going to have another fella here.
Yeah.
Also, on the flip side of that, if he continues to play Bayindir because he wants Sene Lemons to settle in. If Boyendir's not playing well, then you're going to start getting the rumblings.
Yeah.
And what happens then is the pressure on Lemens when he comes in is going to be greater, because we're going to be going, you have to do something, you have to be different here, you have to be this keeper that we haven't had yet, or we haven't had for so long. So I think the longer Boyendir plays, and particularly if he's not playing brilliantly, the more the anticipation more than anything grows for what Lemons can bring.
If you can get Boyendir playing well.
I've said Lemens about 4 different ways at that time.
Yeah, Lemons 24 hour.
Yeah, 24-hour Lemons.
I think if you can get Boyendir playing well up to the start of the FA Cup, at which point Lemons can come in, and that's where he'll start to show how he can do and integrate into the team. And if he's looking good, then maybe you can think about putting him into the starting lineup in the Premier League. Yeah,
I think Boyendir starts, and I think Amram was probably going to be just looking to get Lemens in as quickly as possible, and probably won the upcoming fixtures after this game. I think this one just might be too much too soon.
How do you see the game itself on Sunday?
It's an interesting one because Cunha is an injury due, and Mason Mount is out.
So Sesko to start.
Well, this is what I was going to lead into. Not that I don't want Cunha to be playing, but it might actually force Amram to change things in a way that I think might actually suit United going into this game. So just to kind of elaborate what I mean by that, if Cunha comes out and Mason Mount's not there, that's 2 of what has been his starting front 3. What that's going to force him to do, I think, is 1, play Sesko. I think if he doesn't start Sesko, you're kind of looking going, what has Sesko got to do to get a start here? But it also, and most importantly, pushes Bruno into a number 10 position. Now, I spoke at length last week about Bruno not being suited.
We cut some of that out.
We did. But I spoke a lot about Bruno not being suited to that system. But if you put him as part of that front 3, and you end up with a front 3 of Bruno, Sesko and Mbeumo, it even sounds good saying it, I think they're going to give the City defence a lot of trouble. Not even when they're in possession, but when they're out of possession, I think they're going to press very well. Won't make it easy for City coming out. We spoke about the importance of the central midfielders in this system that Amram likes to play, but also the wing-backs play a big part in it. The thing with this system and the wing-backs is, depending on your opposition, you can change them to more defensive or more offensive, depending on who you're playing. So up until now, he's kind of been playing Amad Diallo as the right wing-back. I think he might drop Amad for this game and maybe play Mazraoui in that position, because I think Dallow's out as well. Sometimes Dallow takes on that position as well. And on the opposite side, I can see Paddy Dorgu coming in and doing the job if he's fit. So it's an interesting one. You would say, I mean, based on league positions, United are in better form. United are coming off with 4 points as opposed to City's 3. It's not a huge difference, I know, but Man City's, what I would say is Man City's 3 came off that opening day win.
Yeah, whereas United
actually lost their first game.
Yeah.
And then they've gone on to draw and then win.
So it looks a bit better for United.
I also think...
Sorry, I just want to say that's a club that people would put miles behind Man City at the moment as well. So, when you look at, albeit a point, United have had the better start to the season.
Yeah. What I would say as well is, United have got previous with Man City. We beat them at the Etihad last year. Ruben Amorim has shown he has the beating of Pep in these games, not just with United but with Sporting as well. So I'm going into this game quietly confident as a United fan.
Amorim has kind of proven that he can set up to block out that kind of system that Pep and Arteta have play. They both struggle against Amorim's United. I know we beat us on the opening day, but that was far from a convincing win. Yeah,
it's as much as it's been doom and gloom for United in the last couple of weeks. I I think a lot of that was because the optimism was so high, and it hasn't lived up to it so far.
It's early days.
I think quietly confident by the end of Sunday, United fans will be feeling a little bit more optimistic again. I think there's 3 points in this game.
I think it's a massive game for both teams.
It is for different and similar reasons at the same time, but just I don't know what it is. There's just something telling me United are going to come away with 3 points.
I have a kind of gut feeling there as well. I feel like
do you feel the same?
Yeah, I think he's going to do them, and then the conversation all of a sudden turns to City have lost 3 in a row, and I'd like to see how I actually want United to win, so I see how Man City react to that particular situation, having lost 3 in a row.
It's definitely the most interesting game. Whether it turns out to be the most entertaining game, I'm not so sure, but I'll definitely be tuned in and on the edge of my seat anyway for that one.
Yeah.
Just on Liverpool, there was a point I wanted to make, and that was Chiesa not being in the Champions League squad.
Oh yeah.
And I thought it was interesting. There was a couple of clubs who've done the same for the Champions League, bringing in sort of the new young talent. I think Arsenal were the same with Dauman.
Yeah.
And Liverpool brought
Rio.
I'm starting to feel sorry for Chiesa, if I'm being honest. I don't know how Liverpool fans feel about it, but
put more questions out to Liverpool fans this week.
We're asking a lot of questions of you Liverpool fans, but I'm just curious how Liverpool fans view Chiesa, because he's been less than a bit part player for us. He seems like a player who really wants it to work out at Liverpool. Like, he's delighted to be there, but it hasn't worked out for him so far. I'm sure he had offers to go back to Italy, and he could have done, and he could have got a lot more game time. And we keep talking about it being a World Cup year, and he would have wanted to make sure that he was fit and ready to go. So I'm kind of feeling sorry for him now, because the players that Liverpool have signed as well, they're kind of all in and around that area of the pitch, and I'm just struggling to see how he gets much game time.
Do you think maybe there was attempts to move him on that we didn't hear about in the media, and it never came to be, and so he's stuck there now?
I can't imagine he'd be a difficult player to move on.
I think, like we said, we'll put that to Liverpool fans again. What I'll do is I'll actually put a post up on the website, AnyGames.ie, to get some Liverpool feedback on that, and to drop into the comments here as well on this podcast and on our platforms. And the situation with Chiesa, Liverpool fans, how do you see it?
We're going to do a rapid fire section. So during the week, the Premier League put up their nominees for Player of the Month, Manager of the Month, and Goal of the Month. So I'm going to put it to you, Dave, without seeing the nominees off the top of your head. Who's been the Player of the Month?
I'm going to go João Pedro. Just think he's had a good start to life at Chelsea. If I was to pick one for me.
I was going to pick Ekitike, but I spent so much time talking about him last week that I think people are going to think that I'm a Liverpool fan all of a sudden. I will go with Jed Spence as fullback.
Okay.
Also, I was a left back as a player, so I always kind of have a soft spot for the left backs. Moving on then to Manager of the Month.
I'm going to say,
is it clear and obvious?
Well, probably not.
You're not just going to give it the slot for?
I'm just trying to think of his name because it has left me. The Sunderland manager, Reggie Labrie.
Cheesy.
Yes. I think just because you look at them, they've 6 points from their opening 3 games.
Yeah.
It's just a good start to a team coming up.
It's always good, I think, because they beat Burnley, and I think it's always good to beat the teams around you.
Yeah.
The teams that are likely to be around you. I'm going to go for... Oh, am I going double Tottenham? Am I getting carried away here? I've moved from being a Liverpool fan now to a Tottenham fan.
I think I need to find a new co-host.
I'm just to annoy you, I'm going to say Thomas Frank.
Fair enough.
I think he's done well to steady the ship at Tottenham, coming off the back of a very indifferent season, and finishing 16th, 17th, but also winning the Europa League. Bit of a mad season for them. So to kind of steady the ship and look more structured, more solid. I think he's done a great job so far. So
I can give that as well. I can see where you're going with him.
Yeah, so I'm going with Thomas Frank. And goal of the month then. Finish that section off.
Yeah. Although I take issue with the goalkeeping on it. The strike itself was...
I know what you're going to say. And unbelievable. There was nothing wrong with that goalkeeping.
I'm not having it.
But nothing wrong with that goalkeeping.
I'm going to go with
Szoboszlai. I knew you were going to say
Szoboszlai. It's a great strike.
Yeah.
I just feel like David Raya, I think his positioning is a little bit questionable.
Yeah.
But it's definitely the goal of the month.
Did you see James Garner's goal for Everton?
I did not.
Well, that's what I'm going to go with.
Okay.
Great strike. Outside the box. Not someone who scores a huge amount of goals. But yeah, I just really like that goal. I'm probably missing a few. I haven't really looked at the nominees.
Yeah.
Probably a couple of really good goals in there. Szoboszlai is definitely up there.
Grand. I think that does the Premier League discussion for this week.
Yeah, perfect. So we spoke before about our interactions with clubs and grassroots football and academies and everything in between. The DDSL is starting back this weekend, so from myself and Dave, we just want to say good luck to all the teams involved from all the age groups. Best of luck for the opening weekend and for the season ahead.
Now, a section we want to do every week on the podcast is getting listener stories and getting, anybody involved with AnyGames.ie, if you're on the website or any of the platforms you follow us on, getting your funny stories or your things that might have happened on your Sunday League game or your five-a-side, just little bits and pieces. I think we'll call it Extra Time.
Extra Time with Any Games.
And so from AnyGames.ie, we have got a listener story. So on AnyGames.ie this week, Ian B87 gives us a little bit of a story from a Sunday League game. I've had a little read through it. Gav, you haven't heard this yet. Hey lads, my Sunday League tale comes from about 2006. I will leave people and the area and names out to protect the innocent. We were a mid-ish table team in our Sunday League, but we had one guy, let's call him Mad Jimmy for now, who thought he was Roy Keane. I mean, he and he alone wore the much coveted 16 jersey. He bought his own captain's armband, the whole lot. Not sure he was ever appointed captain, but we weren't going to tell him any different. A lovely bloke was Mad Jimmy, but his passion for the game was like nothing I've ever seen. His pre-game speeches became the stuff of legend. One winter's morning, approaching the Christmas, one of them games you hope it rains so the game gets called off. We found ourselves lacking in the goalkeeper department. Lacking any willing volunteers, Mad Jimmy done what any good leader does and stepped up. The only problem was, Mad Jimmy was absolutely horrendous as a goalkeeper, a sweeper keeper long before the term was ever coined, only he never perfected the art form. We were getting battered. Things only got worse when Mad Jimmy dropped a routine cross in front of the opposition number 9, leading to a simple tap-in. What happened next will forever live in my memory. When the shock of everyone in attendance, with the shock of everyone in attendance, Mad Jimmy went over and headbutted one of the goalposts full force, knocking himself clean out. The game stopped for about 15 minutes. There was blood, emergency services, the lot. We didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Mad Jimmy Mad Jimmy made a full recovery and lectured us about our ambition after the game. Often when I'm having a nightmare of a game to this day, I question if I should follow Mad Jimmy's example and headbutt a post. And the memory makes me laugh. Ian, thanks for that story. That's brilliant. Thanks.
Absolutely brilliant. Fair play for sending that in. That is a great story, and it's one of those stories that we alluded to earlier. I mean, the amount of these types of stories that
everyone has them.
Everyone has them.
Sorry if that was a bit of a stuttery read, but it was a bit funny towards the end there as well. So
yeah, it's hard not to laugh as you're saying that out loud, but
because we try, like with those stories, I kind of don't want to know the punchline myself. I
kind
of want the live reaction.
Yeah. Brilliant stories, and we're sure many of you have similar stories, and that's an area that we're trying to move towards. Something that we want to, it's the type of interaction that we want to have. We want to hear your stories. We want to hear about these characters.
Exactly.
Sunday League is full of them. I know I've had plenty, but yeah, from amateur football to the characters that we've come across to
the staples of your club as well.
Yeah.
Anything, the rock that kind of club's built on.
But there's everyone has a club legend. Everyone has one of those stories. Everybody has a Mad Jimmy.
Yeah.
You know, and they're the people and the characters that we want to be told about.
Yeah.
You know, they're the stories that we want to hear of.
So
and
we would love to see
get them into us.
I'll be posting a section on the website every week for the current week's podcast for stories to be posted there.
Yeah.
So that's a good place to drop them if you just want to drop them into the comment section on these videos or in these podcasts. So just get your stories into us and we'll be reading them out here. And likewise, anything you want to promote at your club, or if you're looking for 5-a-side games or looking for players, it's all over there on AnyGames.ie as well. And
a reminder that Leicester Celtic are having a fundraising golf event in Rathfarnham on the 19th of September. All the details will be in the link below.
And I think that's it for this week.
That's a wrap. Take us out, Dave.
Yep. Thanks, folks. Catch you on the next one.